for. Cool. So let's start our fourth the AMA call with Flynn from Rabbithole. I will also want to introduce our team members here. Adam and Philip are here, our co-founders. Michael and Mohsen are here, our developers, Right Hassan and Mano and me and Ashraf are the BrightID stars and community managers. And let's give the stage to Brian Frim from the amazing Rabbithole.
Hey guys, how's it going? Great to be here. Best you want to just give a quick overview of Rabbithole, and we'll get into AMA.
Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys. So I'm the founder and CEO of Rabbithole. It's a place to discover crypto applications and earn tokens for interacting with different crypto applications. We're really trying to focus more on participation over speculation of cryptos is kind of what we're trying to do from a mission standpoint. BrightID has been really helpful for us, really just trying to fight for the retail user because a lot of people are focused on just tracking liquidity from whales right now, but we're really trying to focus on Gini coefficient for crypto networks and trying to get really wide distributions in each of these networks. So so far we've done a couple of campaigns to date, and with a couple of projects like OpenSea, Matcha, Aave. We have Compound and Uniswap on the platform as well, and we're looking to just have more applications on Rabbithole over the next coming months and doing some awesome token distributions for BrightID verified users. So the platform will get pretty awesome as we start to launch with newer tokens over the next few months as well. So yeah, really excited to be here and excited to be part of the BrightID community, and happy to answer any questions.
Cool. My first question is, and I'm sorry for the new question, why the mainnet? We want to object to that.
Yeah, I mean, like, so the big issue for us is we treat the wallet as an identity layer, right? So we're trying to integrate with as many applications as possible, but they need to have MetaMask and Wallet Connect integration, right? And we're also trying to focus on crypto networks that have sort of a unique value proposition for the most part, right? And there's a lot of applications on layer 2s like Matic or XDAI, but a lot of them are more crypto art and blockchain game focused. And it's not to say that they're not important. It's just, we're mostly focused on kind of exploring and like, what is the real deal about DeFi about? Like, why is everyone talking about this? How can we get more people engaged into governance, right? So we'll probably lean into layer 2 more over the next few months, especially as gas fees kind of start rising, like they have been in the recent weeks or two. But yeah, we'll do a lot more layer 2 stuff, just waiting for more applications to kind of migrate over.
Cool.
So I have a question just for BrightID users, for the benefit of BrightID users who might be watching. What, from a user standpoint, from a brand new user who's never heard of Rabbithole, why should a user sign up for Rabbithole and start using it? What's it going to look like from a user perspective, and what are they going to get out of it by the end?
Yeah, so the first time you get onto Rabbithole, the reason you come here is because you don't really know where to start in your crypto journey, right? You probably heard about like several tokens. You probably don't know. You can't really distinguish between blockchains. And we're really trying to separate the signal from the noise and show you like kind of what the best crypto projects out there and the things you can do on them, right? We're really trying to make it like a visualized like rabbit hole journey, right? So the more you go down the crypto rabbit hole, the more things you get accustomed to, right? And it's just a new way to kind of experience Web3 for the most part, right? And so we'll keep offering, the user more rewards as they kind of keep going down that crypto journey, kind of more carrots so they can keep discovering these things. These token rewards kind of exist fragmentally across the ecosystem. Everyone's kind of giving out rewards with liquidity mining or some campaign rewards kind of on their own, but there's not really an aggregated way of kind of like seeing seeing how these rewards exist, right? So if we can aggregate that all into one platform and show you how to earn in these different crypto applications that are also really valuable, then it's just a much smoother experience, like in doing crypto, right? It's not as scary. It's much safer. You don't have to worry about if the project is unaudited, right? We're really just trying to provide like a very smooth crypto and enjoyable experience.
So how do you select your partners or your campaigns, like OpenSea, Compound? Do they somehow sponsor you, or how is this working?
Yeah, so right now it's a very kind of a manual process. We kind of like have just a pipeline, and we'll prioritize projects based upon their quality or their trustworthiness, right? We don't do projects that are unaudited. We don't do forks as of right now. But over time, we'll introduce mechanisms so that anyone can get listed on Rabbithole, anyone can run a campaign, right? No ET on that kind of right now. But the whole point of Rabbithole is to eventually become like a public good, to become decentralized, right? So right now we're kind of doing that curation ourselves, but over time, yeah, we'll let the community do it.
Nice.
So in the short term, while you guys are on Mainnet, how do you plan to address the issue of getting rewards to folks that are trying to learn about crypto but are being like crushed by the fees?
Yeah, so in our campaigns coming up, we're doing a lot of estimations to make sure that the rewards that they're getting is more than the fees that they're spending trying to do the campaign in the first place, right? So when we work with projects, we kind of have to work out like, what is like kind of the fee that users are paying, and then kind of bump it up by 5 or 10% to kind of anticipate, increase in volatility of gas fees, so that users feel like they're actually going to a new reward. I think in our first few campaigns, we had the reward lower than the gas fees, and some users were kind of upset about that. But we'll make sure that going forward that it's worth it, kind of completing the tasks.
If a project wants to do a campaign with you, if they came to you tomorrow and said, "Hey, Brian, I want to do a campaign. It's a legit, and it is indeed a legit project," how long until they might be able to actually have their campaign run?
It's a tricky question because we do have a pipeline of projects right now. We usually have like a 2-week heads up time. Sort of like a resourcing question for us, right? So on our side, we basically have to set up like subgraphs, set up the queries to make sure that we can actually track these campaigns in the first place and have the rewards kind of set in place. So it really depends on the project. I think it's tough to say, right? But most likely between 2 to 4 weeks is probably at least the minimum. Yeah.
Brian, do you have any plan for providing the minimum gas fee that the user needs to start working with Rabbithole?
We're thinking through some of our onboarding right now, maybe to do with NFTs. So some idea that we had recently was to let the user mint NFTs for free via OpenSea SDK, and then being able to sell that on the platform. And we basically write a script to buy that NFT from the user. So they're basically introduced to the idea of NFTs, and also can, without spending gas, also earn a little bit of ETH. But they would have to be BrightID verified in order to do the process, so there isn't a simple attack in that scenario. So we'll probably fix up our onboarding, and then probably do something to make it easier to get the first bit of ETH through kind of creating NFTs.
I think that's a very good way to start.
Yeah.
I could imagine other ways, but this is something that users can like earn the ether that they need to start, because I think a lot of users that at least I know of are having troubles having the minimum amount. but as long as they can have that, they would love to start learning and earning through learning, which is what I think Rabbithole does.
Yeah, I think our other idea that we had was using Aave's delegated credit feature so that we can have users apply for credit on Rabbithole, and we can delegate credit to them to get a loan to borrowing ETH. So they can borrow, up to like $500 to $1,000 in ETH as long as they're accepted. And we basically allow them to borrow for a certain amount to do Rabbithole class, and then being able to use those rewards to pay back the loan from the delegated credit. So we're definitely like focused on trying to, solve that cold start problem. It's like one of our big focuses right now. So whether it's the NFT thing or the Aave delegated credit, I think one of these things might work.
I see. Yeah. I have a suggestion for that, but I don't want to take up the time at the moment. But yeah, if we have time, maybe by the end of this call, I will.
Sure.
I will talk about that. Sure.
Do you have any plans on running your own BrightID nodes and like configuring your own kind of like verification levels?
It's something we've thought about, not too deeply yet. We do have this XP system that we're thinking about of how it becomes part of verification or part of identity or some multiplier in rewards as well, right? So the more you engage in Rabbithole, the more rewards you potentially get, kind of like a coins like symbol score system, right? And we would probably bake that into the BrightID stuff. We'll be integrating with Ceramic when they launch their mainnet, and so this would be something that can kind of layer into Ceramic to make it easier to get verified, especially if they have a minimum amount of XP. Yeah, good question.
Brian, I'm curious how your users have dealt with BrightID verification, how much of a problem that's been. Yeah.
I think part of it comes back to like a user experience issue, right? If you don't sell the benefits of what they're getting for BrightID verified enough, they're less likely to go through. So it's just optimizing our onboarding flow to really show that it's worth it to kind of go through the trouble to get BrightID verified, right? It is a bit annoying if it's just to kind of send them to verification parties and definitely get the kind of the moaning and groaning. But I found that it's easier to kind of work with like big groups for the most part, like 50 to 75 like blockchain education groups and that sort of thing, and to get a few people verified in those groups and set up their own group in that way, and then they'd be able to verify everyone else in that group in itself, right? So instead of kind of focusing on like individual user level, we've been kind of going for more of these like small groups and organizations to kind of help them get BrightID verified, because it's easier to just verify each other.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, the verification parties, it's it's that cold start problem you were talking about. It's not how BrightID was ever meant to work. It was just, hey, if you don't already know someone that's in it, like when circles exploded over Twitter, people were like, what? Who can verify me? And there were some people that didn't know anyone on the inside, so they had zero opportunity. With BrightID, there's a place that anybody can go, but it's much better to actually just go to someone you already know that's in. If we were back to the in-person conference scene, BrightID would just like rip through a conference hall. In a day, everybody, without it being a big deal, can get verified. But that's not where we are right now.
Yeah, maybe this year, maybe next DevCon.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Let's go vaccinations.
We got from 100 to 6,800 in a year, so let's keep that momentum.
Yeah, I really like this idea though of like rabbit holers meeting other rabbit holers and getting to know other people in the community and learning together. that's kind of maybe one of the cool side effects of BrightID verification is you get that a social aspect, or you think more about the social aspect. Social is good, and social can help motivate people and can help people keep going with something. So I don't think that, I think if it's done well, I think that can be a benefit, a good benefit for Rabbithole.
Yeah, we've been thinking about what like a Rabbithole University would look like, and having like different cohorts, right? Of having 50 to 100 people and exclusive rewards to them, right? It'd be easier, to get everyone BrightID verified.
Yes, that's the best place to get verified is with your university cohort. That's perfect. That
exactly. So, and having like NFT credentialing as well as part of that, right? So we're still kind of like thinking through what that exactly looks like right now. But it's definitely something we're thinking about, because we do see a lot of interest from these education groups to kind of do more like group specific tasks together.
So as people are having interactions with Rabbithole now, are they putting themselves in good stead for future Rabbithole tokens?
Can't comment on that.
You took my question. So we can we have a little leak of what projects we might be seeing with Rabbithole?
Yeah, so some of the ones we're talking to right now that most likely run campaign would be like a Gnosis is one that's probably coming out pretty soon. M-Stable is another pull together. And then we're talking to a bunch of other projects like Nexus Mutual, Variable, yeah, a couple others kind of in the pipeline. I mean, we're hoping to do around like 3 to 5 projects like every single month, right? At least for the next couple of months, and then hopefully get to the point where we're running multiple campaigns every single week, right? Once we implement Gnosis Safe as sort of like a claiming mechanism, instead of using kind of what we do right now, we just do like an airdrop at the end of the campaign. It'd be much easier to run much more campaigns kind of simultaneously, much easier to convert projects, but we're still kind of like a few months away from that.
Brian, if you get thousands of users in the future and there aren't nearly as many prizes, as there are users, how are you going to manage? How do you think about managing too much interest for a campaign like all at once?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think at that point, we would probably start to gate campaigns based upon a minimum XP score and things you've done in the past, right? And basically just trying to qualify users who are eligible for a campaign based on previous things that they've done, right? That's when we start to kind of work on segmentation and really trying to focus on just leveling out people in different areas, right? So you might be, you might not qualify for this game, but this campaign, over here might be, more for beginners or for people who are brand new to crypto in the first place. So kind of thinking about it as like, like in normal education system, right? So starting out kind of on the beginner track and hopefully having tons of rewards available for beginners, right, to get their first crypto. But then as you start doing more tasks on Rabbithole, much more lucrative rewards, right, that are kind of brand new tokens for people who've done a lot more tasks in the first place.
So awesome. As well, for the other side as well, like we in BrightID will offer like this service. Well, it's decentralized, but we offer the service of it will giving people this identity. There's a way also just to let's say use a BrightID and Rabbithole, but for some other like not bigger clients, but different projects. Let's say it's a Rabbithole campaign for projects to use, let's say, BrightID, and we can probably give them tokens that can get their users verified. Let's say like a Rabbithole campaign, so we can attract different projects, something like that, like a little bit more, like not users, but also projects. I'm sorry if I just.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we're definitely trying. Like we have a lot of interest from the project side of things right now. So it's just a matter of prioritizing those users. I mean, prioritizing those projects. Sorry. And so we're really just focused on building the user and the demand side before we go after much more like earlier stage projects in the first place. Definitely thinking about how to do like cross project campaigns, right? So being able to do 5 tasks across 5 different projects and have some sort of like credential or large reward that makes up all those projects in the first place. But yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hostler, did you want to, it seems like we have enough time if we want to take any general questions about BrightID. Or did you, or were you thinking that you wanted to do a group connection? What do you think
Someone asked about the verification process.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you see a question in the chat, BrightID verification. Can you elaborate on that? Would you like to talk to that question about what the current verification process is in BrightID?
Of course, yeah. Okay, let's talk about that, and then I want to talk to Brian about the. I
mean, actually, maybe
for providing that ETH, but that's fine.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can do a show and tell rather than just answer that question. What is BrightID verification? What does it look like? Maybe we can show right now what it is by doing.
Why not? Yes. Yeah. So for that we need to meet people and see people, so that you need to turn on your camera so we can actually meet you. At least meet you so we can make connections to you. But
we're still recording.
Okay. Yeah, we are still recording, yes. So maybe we could wait for about like 5 to 10 minutes and then start that after we stop recording, so people are easier with turning on your camera.
Yeah, I think we should.
Can I use that
as the last thing?
Yes. Can I start before we start making connections? Ask Brian about maybe a possible collaboration about between Rabbithole and the Ether, and I'm suggesting that because I think that would be a good way to because the Ether has XP for users for like participating in these discussions and learning from each other. And maybe we could have a plan in Rabbithole that for people with a certain amount of XP that are proven to have been in these discussions and have participated, then we can give them a minimum amount of Ether. Because I feel like the Ether and Rabbithole have a very close alignment of their goal and the plan for the users. So maybe, and there's a user base in the Ether that has been active for so long, and now maybe we can and these people are the kind of people that might not have enough resources to have enough ETH to start working with the Rabbithole. So maybe it's a good idea to give them a minimum amount of ETH so long as they have enough XP.
We can put that on the roadmap for sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, Brian, have you ever spoken with Madison from the Ether?
Nope.
I should hook the two of you guys up. I even mentioned that to him when he was on the AMA last year. So I will send you guys a joint message and make
sounds good.
Yeah, the Ether's a really cool place that people can discuss the intricacies in a way that isn't just Twitter fighting. Yeah, Brian, another question I wanted to ask you before we get into connections is, what can the BrightID community do for Rabbithole?
Yeah, I mean, if there's always a cool project, either on XDAI or ETH that you want on Rabbithole, just tell them that you want to get them on Rabbithole, right? Just as long as you're showing your support for Rabbithole, that'd be awesome.
HoneySwap should totally be there. Just it's Uniswap on XDAI, and because it's all super cheap, that would be really cool. They could use the same exact address on Mainnet and XDAI, so that I'm sure your system would have an easier time with the identity thing, being like, yep, that's obviously controlled by the same person. But yeah, HoneySwap would just be a great one, and it's so cheap to trade on HoneySwap that gas fees are no problem.
Yeah, we were thinking about doing a lot of XDAI campaigns. Like, it'd be really cool if you did one with like Dark Forest or Perpetual Protocol, right? Or Honey in the first place, right? So I think maybe next month we'll have more time to do more XDAI campaigns.
Nice.
Okay. So if no one has any questions for Brian, I want to stop the recording so people are easier, feel better for turning on their cameras.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe just for the sake of the video, in case people watching on YouTube have never tried BrightID and are wondering like, oh, what does that look like to make a connection? Maybe you and I could make a connection, Paslar, so they see how it's done over the video, and then we can pause the recording. That way, if people want to participate and show their face, they don't have to be on the YouTube recording of it.
Cool. I'm gonna host it together.
Okay, great.
And I'm gonna show my QR code, and folks here as well as Adam can scan it all at the same time. But I wouldn't be able to confirm your connection if I don't see you on video.
So I just clicked scan code, and now I'm going to go over to Paslar's camera, and I'm going to pin it actually so that it's a little bigger for me.
Can you spotlight yourself?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me scan it. Let me scan it first, so you can see what it looks like on my phone. Okay, so on mine it says downloading connection data. And then I can see Paslar, and I can already see some other people starting to connect to him. So we'll see that. And then you'll go through a confirmation screen. When you hit confirm connections, you'll get to look at each person one by one. And you can say, oh, this is Paslar. I've already connected to him. Wow, he's got a bunch of connections. We've got 186 mutual connections. We're both crazy connectors in BrightID. We don't expect everyone to have that many, but I'm going to reconnect with him. And then I see the next one, and I see Mono, and I just keep going through. So I'm already connected with him. If I'm not connected, I can see, okay, I can mark them as just met or already know. Like, of course, Mono's already know for me. And then, but some people be just met. And so you go through everybody, and then you're done, and then you wait probably 15 minutes, and usually that's enough to get verified. You just the algorithm will look through and say, okay, you've made a connection to someone that's in the right part of the graph, and now you're verified. So.
But I also want to mention that as Philip already mentioned, this is not how actually BrightID is supposed to work in the long run. This is just for our bootstrapping phase, to have an opportunity to meet other people, make a bunch of connections, and get verified at this stage, which is the easy 0 level of verification on BrightID. And then in the future, I'm guessing, because it is not just one algorithm, it's going to be a bunch of algorithms defined by different applications, different projects. But in my opinion, more focus is going to be shifted on already known connections people make with people in their family and their friends that they can select as already known. And those are going to be much more important than connections that people make with a bunch of people that they just met. And
That is
also, just
exactly
for the
right.
record, the whole process can also be done with links. So you can be on a mobile phone in a verification or a connection party, and we can send you links, and you tap on the link on your phone, it automatically opens your BrightID app, and it's the same process. So you don't have to have a third device to make connections on BrightID. So that's how it's done. Before I stop recording, I want to thank Brian for being here and talking about Rabbithole. We love Rabbithole in BrightID, as well as all the other integrated applications, which are all dear to us. I want to thank everybody that are here. If you want to make more connections and get verified on BrightID, in case you're not still, feel free to hang out, and we're gonna do a group connection together. But yeah, thank you for being here. I'm gonna stop recording.
I want to add, hold on, I want to add one last time capsule piece. Right now, there are 481 verified users for Rabbithole.
Oh, nice.
So, well, that's a fine number at this early stage. I want us to look back and laugh at that tiny little number. Let's see what it looks like a year from now.
Yeah, nice.
I'm gonna tell my grandkids I was one of the 481 people.
It's like Bitcoin at $10, right?
You probably don't need to tell. We can get, I don't know, like give an NFT airdrop so you can show it up, or that you actually was there.
Cool. All right, let's stop.
Fingers crossed.
All right.
I'm gonna stop recording now. Yeah, you stop it. Yeah, there you go.